Hello, hello, and welcome to my universe. So, yeah, last time I worked on a flower, and I thought about things perhaps more than I should have, but you know, it's okay. Thinking is useful, and I figured out some things just by, you know, staring at art I like. It was great. We're gonna do more of that today. And as I dive deep into anime hair, you know, at the very least, she doesn't have very much. So I'm sure it'll be fine. I think I'm probably just gonna try to do all the hair. A lot of the time I do the hair in the back a bit later, but I think I might just go for the whole thing. I don't actually think I quite finished off the flower though, so gotta do that first, and probably some corrections around the face. I don't know, it's still feeling a little wonky to me for reasons I don't quite understand. Someday, I'll be able to draw faces right the first time. I believe in myself. But, you know, I want to finish the flower. So that's going to be first order business. So let's get on in there and just make the flower look really nice. Fortunately, I don't think it'll be too hard. And it looks like... the heck is that? Did I just accidentally click somewhere on this again? That happens sometimes. Like if I leave a picture up, sometimes I have to click in order to make my computer wake up again, and for whatever reason, sometimes it registers the click, and it's very annoying. But no, it turns out I just had a hole, so everything's fine. Computers are weird sometimes, I swear. Alright. So I think I'm gonna hide these little guys there, and the first thing I want to do is get these little borders on there right. Let me double check my references of Katya's flower here just to make sure. Okay, I have them a little thick, but otherwise fine. Yes. And I do think the flower itself looks pretty good. So all is well there. So I'm just gonna jump right in. And a first order of business is to smooth out the edges here. But before I put any shading onto that, I want to do the shading on the flower itself, because that will inform which parts of the trim get shading, and I think doing it in that order will make it a little bit easier for me to understand. What shape is that? That looks flat. Okay, but it's supposed to look a little flat. Okay, I understand. Okay, I do have to be careful. It is on the same layer as the little rose thing in the middle. Still feeling a little bit under the weather. It is a mild sickness, fortunately, but it is enough to make my body feel a little bit sore and my head feel a little bit achy. It's all very unfortunate. The timing is terrible. Why couldn't it have happened in the 3 days that I took off? Right? Sometimes I think the universe likes to troll me, and I don't like it. Okay, and I see that there are some parts of flower here that I just have not quite filled in properly. That's fine, I'll take care of it now. And we'll just go around and get all that all the way I want. Is that really shaped like that? No, it's really not. Why did I draw it like that? You know, that's a good question. I do remember I was slightly rushing at the end, so I think this is a pretty natural consequence. These things happen. I'll just be going back and forth between my reference, but this is the point where I want to get it all right. Everything must be good. Everything must be just the way that I want. And that looks a bit better there. There we go. Feels more like the shape of those petals there. I wouldn't say I necessarily have all the angles exactly perfect, but for something like this, I don't really feel like I have to. I don't think it has to match 1-to-1. There are some things where I do try to get it very close, like as close as possible. I mentioned the bangs on an anime girl, very important. But the exact shape of a flower, I don't know. I still think this reads as the correct flower. I just want to get some of those big general shapes a little bit more accurate. And the way this flower is generally structured is the petals kind of have that little dent in it, and then it kind of goes out and around. And if I make them look too square, I think it'll make them look too different. But the exact angles, no, I don't think that's really that important. As long as kind of the big shape is looking about the same, I think it'll be fine. Look, I'm not always very good at picking my battles, but I'm trying to be better at it. Sometimes it can be easy to just get into that super brainless state where you're just going. It's like the flow state, but a little bit more relaxed. And it feels really good when you get into it, but I can make all sorts of silly decisions. I don't think it's the worst thing. I do at least try to be aware of these things. Okay. So it looks like I got the inner ones here, and I do believe that they are all the right length there. So I'll start doing the next layer. And we'll just go from there. Make sure to fill in all of these little gaps I see and all that kind of thing. And we'll just go from there. And like the dent here, I just feel like is way too big. I don't think any of them are shaped quite like that. I'm not sure why I made this one quite so large. Or any of them for that matter. They're the little divots there are actually quite small. Again, it was probably just due to rushing at the end. And I don't think it's such a bad thing. Rushing is generally not good, of course. But I knew that I'd be coming back over things, that I'd make any corrections that I wanted. So I wasn't especially concerned. But it kind of got the initial structure down for me. So now I can approach today with just, okay, got the basics down. Let's get them just right. It'll be great. It will be. See, and now it has that general shape, and I'll probably move some of the ones further back here, just so that they're not meeting up right there. I think I'd rather... where would I rather have them meet up? Maybe a little bit more over there. So I'll need to put in some blue, so that this way I can draw it properly, and they'll just meet up over there, and I'll deal with it later. I just didn't like the way that they were overlapping there. Just little things. And I think it'll make the flower read a little bit better here. So All good there. Yes. And I'm still looking at the face. I still feel like her jaw is kind of protruding out this way. So we're going to be doing more liquefy, but it's all good. As always, I like to spend a bunch of extra time on the head and face. I do think that every moment spent on that is always worthwhile. You don't mess around with the face. Humans are very much wired to care about every little facial detail. So, very important. I kind of don't like the shape of your point. Now that we're getting out near the edge, I actually gotta fill things in with blue before I can adjust things properly now. There we go. That'll be good. Okay, and about how do I want you to go in? I think this looks alright. I'm just gonna kind of tilt you upward a little bit more. But besides that, I think you look great. I do. Look at those little petals. They look so soft. I'm always happy when I can just kind of look at things and be like, yes, that is about right. I'm just going to take a moment to kind of fill in some gaps here, because they are kind of bothering me. And I'll probably need a moment to really perfect the edges and whatnot. So I've been kind of looking forward to getting to the hair today. Sounds weird coming from me, but it's true. Because I want to take a look at what makes the hair from the Path to Nowhere artist looks so soft. What's going on here? You know, that's a good question. So, it looks like I might have made a small error going around, because I see a gap right here, and another one right here. So for some reason, this one just has like 3 petals. I get the feeling that this guy was supposed to be part of this guy. So I'm gonna restructure it like that. So let's go ahead and do this. Yeah, there we go. And then I'll just put all this in shadow for now. Well, I'll fix the shading when the time comes. But yeah, I've been really looking forward to digging into how he does his hair. And with any luck, I can figure out some neat things to try. When it comes to softer shaded styles, hair is the one thing that I've been worried about. I have not really been able to find a way that I like doing that. The last kind of softly shaded drawing that I did was the drawing with Pippa and all the woodland creatures in the snow, and I didn't really like her hair, if I'm being honest. It still kind of had the very plasticky anime look. And the way I've been doing hair just doesn't quite mesh with softer shading, so I have been really eager to go in and steal all his secrets. Just see what I can figure out. Just see how he structures things, and oh no, I used the wrong color. What am I doing? Okay. It's okay, I am a little sick. I might be just a little out of it. I mean, probably no more than usual, if I'm being honest, because, man, I have been extremely out of it lately. It's why I decided to cut back on streaming days for a little while. We'll see if I can work my way up again, but at least for a bit. Gotta be going to 3 or 4 days. I think next week is gonna be 3 while I recover from sick. And think about things and maybe draw some Valentine's Day pictures. I've had some ideas for a bunch of Variance Valentine's Day fan art, but we'll see if I have enough time to actually finish it. I have not actually started, and I have a week to do my ideal. Would be 5 pictures, 3 of Variance, 1 of me, and then 1 for my the real life anniversary. So that's gonna be a thing. Oh yeah, my anniversary's coming up. We decided to get married near Valentine's Day. We got married on the 13th, not the 14th. The 13th specifically, because then some days it would be on Friday the 13th. And that's actually what's happening this year, so it's fantastic. And we both thought that would be great, so we rolled with it. But the reason we picked around Valentine's Day was because both of us are terrible with dates. And we will always forget events. Always. I am the type of person that will not even remember her own birthday. If you've ever wondered why I've never done a birthday celebration, yeah, it's because I forget. Also, I don't sell merch or anything. I'm gonna work on that, don't worry. But yes, I do forget. And we just both knew that if we didn't pick a major holiday to have our anniversary, neither of us would ever remember. But at least this way, we can kind of do minor celebrations, and I can draw a derpy-looking kitten and snake every year, and it's great. And I always deliberately make it derpy and silly, so that one I'm actually not worried about finishing, because normally I always finish those in a couple of hours. It is the tradition. Oh, did I grab a bad color? Oh no. That probably means that everything I've done is the bad color, so I better fix it. No, it's supposed to be this color. Okay. I'll fix the color over here then. So there we go, and we get to have our anniversary at Friday the 13th this year. So that's very funny. We are also both very easily amused. Yeah, well, we'll see how many of the ideas I can do. It's gonna really force me to go in and find an appropriate shitposting style like I want, because they are definitely pure shitposts. They do not need detailed drawing like I'm doing now. Absolutely not. But I'm gonna have to fight the inner perfectionism that will just want to make everything look really nice and smooth, and you know, can't do that when you only got a week to draw 5 pictures, you know? I basically have to be finishing one almost every day. And I don't draw on Sundays, so... Well, you know, sometimes I do. But, because Sunday morning before stream, that's a day I play video games with my husband. That is my quote-unquote day off, I guess you could say. And there is nothing in the world that could convince me to do that. No, definitely not shitposting. I love shitposting on the internet. But no. I gotta build a factory with my husband. Very important. So we'll see how many of them I get through. But I do like my ideas. Hello there, Protox. Welcome back. It's fun though, because they actually have character designs for the fan mascot character. I think that's becoming increasingly common within VTuber spheres, so... So I will see how far I can get through my ideas here, and, you know, if worse comes to worse, I'll just post them a little bit late. It's okay. Alright, let's get this flower petal shaped correctly. Yes, please come in and have your little dent just a little bit closer together. There we go. No. Little further out. Come on, little guy. You can do it. There we go. I got a bunch of residue over there. So this outer layer is going to be a little bit trickier than the others. Since anytime I want to adjust the edge of the border, I actually have to adjust the edge of the flower. I have the above layer clipped to the blue layer, so that this way I don't have to worry about coloring outside the lines. But, you know, the downside is that I can't color outside the lines, and thus I have to make sure that the layer underneath has the correct shape, and I kind of have to do that together. That can be a little annoying, but I think it's worth it to not have to worry about coloring outside the lines. Far more convenient. And you know what? Her hair is making it a little bit hard to see this here. Where is it? Here we are. We're gonna invert the color here just so I can see a little. So, I don't know. I guess we're getting brunette Katya for a little bit. She actually doesn't look half bad like this. Sometimes I think that's half the fun of just randomly inverting the colors sometimes. You get to see all kinds of just random colors and styles, and it can be really fun. You get some pretty cute stuff occasionally. I still remember before I drew the braids on Leia Memoria and the last big drawing I was doing there of her. And she actually looks really cute with just her front hair. I actually kind of want to draw that at some point. Okay, and you're supposed to go underneath this one. So you know what, maybe I should get that one first. Oh yeah, she looked absolutely adorable with just the front hair, so that was a very interesting discovery. I'm actually wondering if that's a thing where, do you know that your Bang design and your character design is good when if you only draw that, it still looks really cute? That's gonna be have to be a hypothesis that I test at some point. Although I think for some anime girls, with only their front and maybe side hair, I think they might look a little bald. So I'm not quite sure what to expect there, actually. That's what makes it interesting. If I knew all the answers, life would be way less interesting. Okay, but I think the flower's really coming together now. And took my sweet time on that. That's okay. Today, gonna be like extra chill drawing. Since I'm all blah and a little bit sick. But that's what drawing is good for. It'll feel great when you're otherwise feeling a little bit loopy. I just want to build up the anticipation within me for when I finally get to do some hair analysis. So I'm just like, ooh. Let me at it. I've never been this excited to draw hair before. Normally I'm here just dreading it and using the fact that I get to draw the face afterward to bribe myself. But no, this time I'm actually really excited. I get to do it again on the other side. The fact that I'm doing 2 designs, I actually did really work out with what I wanted to accomplish this time, in that, you know, it's one thing to be able to draw something once when you're trying something new. It's another thing entirely to be able to do it twice. So, that'll really show some understanding. Anyway, I think I finally got the trim around the flower there looking good, so let's shade this bad boy. Get him looking nice. Let's see, how do I want to handle this? Some of them are so clearly in the back here that I just want them to be basically entirely shadow. Less so you, but this half very much yes. So I'll start there, and then I'll figure out where exactly I want some of these lighter spots to be, and I think I might actually get a 3rd color. I want a nice highlight color, and I might even want a deeper shadow. So man, that might be 4. That's like a huge number for how I tend to do things. Man, now I'm just remembering back in the day when I was just a little baby artist, and my initial starting technique was I always drew a black and white underpainting. I found it much easier. It helped me a lot when I was working early on. For me, it wasn't really values that I cared about. I was actually pretty bad at keeping the values the same once I added color. But that wasn't really why I did it. It was because then I could only draw with just black and just white. And I could just switch between the 2 colors. If I wanted something lighter, I'd put white on it. If I wanted it to be darker, then I could put black on it, and it was very convenient. And then I could just focus on getting, you know, general proportions and stuff right. This is before I really started thinking too hard about composition, so I can't even say the composition. I cared a little bit, but I know, I wasn't there yet. I was a baby artist. It takes time for those skills to grow. But this way I could just draw purely with light. And that is what I personally found to be the easiest. And then, you know, I got better, and I found having to... I think I want that color to be a little darker, actually. But I found having to glaze with a color and then render everything in one layer and everything to be a bit annoying. And I also switched to Krita, which let me liquefy multiple layers at once, whereas the version of Photoshop I was using at the time did not let me do that. So I had an easier time making corrections with my full color drawings. And, you know, that's what led to the current way I do things. But if I'm being honest, I just hate having to constantly color pick. I find it a little bit annoying. So that tends to be why my color palette is actually pretty restricted. It's raw laziness. But it sounds bad, but I think it actually ended up helping my color choices a lot, since I was always just a purely digital artist, and I had access to, you know, every color of the rainbow and more. This is a problem that I think lots of digital artists that can have, because, you know, with traditional artists, or analog, you have, like, specific paints or pencils or other tools that limit your color choices. No, you don't have this problem with digital. You can do whatever the hell you want. And some people end up picking way too many colors. It's an extremely common beginner digital painter problem, actually. Extremely common. But due to me and my raw laziness and not wanting to just repeatedly have to go through and color pick things or have a palette and some stuff like that, I didn't end up having this problem, and it was nice. So, I don't know, I kind of enjoy my restricted color palettes. They're quite nice. So in this case, the laziness worked out to me. And it actually forced me to learn a pretty valuable skill. All just because I really hated color picking. I think the universe likes to troll me sometimes, but, you know, sometimes it's kind to me. I'll take my wins when I can get them. Alright, and I already have all of my shadows and highlights picked for the trim there. So that'll be nice and easy once I get these little highlights on. And I don't think this side really needs a lot of highlights. Yeah, I think that should be good. I'm gonna give a little one to this guy, but he's gonna be in just the regular color since he's buried underneath all those other petals. Alright, let's go ahead and get some nice little shades on the trim here. We'll just get that all looking nice. And I've even got some lovely little highlights picked already. Just gonna do the basic ones first. And then we'll do the really dark ones where I see fit. Oh, Oh, I never cleaned you up. Oh no, that's because you're a highlight. Never mind. That's right, they do look a little similar, but that's fine. That'll be fixed once I go in and add highlights. So I'm not actually worried. You know what, let's do those highlights now. Normally I would do the darker shadows first, but this is gonna bug me, so I better do them now. And we'll get, you know, those parts just right. It'll be great. But see, now it's a little more clear with just a little bit more color contrast. This is why I wasn't worried in the slightest. I knew all would be well once I fixed the other colors in the area. Still feels weird only be using hard edges on this flower, even though I'm going for a softer shading style for this picture. But I still think it looks good, so it feels weird, but I don't think it's wrong. Look, feelings can be useful tools. They can give some very valuable information. But in the end, they are not always reflective of reality, and you shouldn't completely trust them. Listen, of course. They're trying to tell you something. But it doesn't mean they're right. Doesn't mean they're wrong, but it doesn't mean they're right. It just means you gotta run some analysis in order to find the answer you're looking for, and I don't know what's going on there. Is that a hole? That is a hole. Okay. Let's fix that. There we go. All better. Now then. What was I doing? Yeah, I was cleaning up the highlights. Okay. And now the darkest one. This is going to be for where they more directly overlap, and then perhaps just some other areas for, you know, the spots that are just really, really dark, like back here. And over here. Yeah, just kind of like that. But mostly for the places where they kind of more directly overlap, like here. Get that last little bit of depth and make it clear which things are on top and which things are on bottom. Okay, there we go. I think that looks pretty good. Zoom out and take a look, and yeah, I think that looks like her flower. Just plopping it up in her hair. At some point, I probably will put the thorny vine going around it, but I don't really want to put that in there now. I wanted to design it a little bit more deliberately when I know where more elements of her costume are going to be. Because that thing, if you look over at her design sheet here, it wraps around her whole body. Like, you see it in her ankles, you see it going through her legs and her arm, and it gets places. It's everywhere. So I want to make sure that I'm ready for it. But yeah, I think flower looks good. Let's go ahead and get the these little guys. Okay, then I see that there are some areas I'm gonna have to kind of erase around the edges here. But, you know, I should do that after. Let's go ahead and just perfect these little guys. I think they're actually looking really good right now, though. I think some of them are just a little bit too thick in a few places. Like right here, for example. But I think they're actually looking pretty good already. I don't think I have that much work to do. Good job, past self. Past self is on point sometimes. See, this is exactly why you gotta do some nice stuff for your future self. Sometimes that can actually be pretty appreciative. I've been thinking a lot about some more stream stuff I want to do. And I think I'd like to do some more game analysis occasionally. It's really hard to do that live, especially with a game I haven't played before. Because I do think in order to really understand a video game, you have to play it, you know? Makes sense, right? And when I'm playing it live, I'm oftentimes just trying to really focus on the game itself and figure out what it wants me to do and things like that. But recently I've been seeing Blue Protocol's Star Resonance floating around, and while my brain was just, so overloaded with things, I just needed a little bit of brain rot. And MMO brain rot is one of those things that just hits right for whatever reason, even though I think most of them are pretty bad these days. But, you know, it doesn't have to be good in order to have fun, necessarily. And sometimes certain bits of brain rot just hit right. I actually did think about playing Enfield too, but I played Arknights for a really long time, you know, the original, and I really enjoyed it, but I had to stop playing it because of all the limited time events and stuff. I just couldn't deal with feeling obligated to play a video game anymore. Could not deal with it. It was driving me absolutely nuts. And it felt really bad because I thought Arknights was generally a pretty well-designed game. Probably the only one I can think of off the top of my head. Oh, the only gacha game I can think of off the top of my head that I feel like I can say that with. Or just well-designed as a game. And pretty much the only one that I would ever recommend to people that can tolerate gacha. So, I was actually a little bit sad when I had to drop it. It was a bit sad to me. But I could not deal with feeling obligated to play the video game because of all the time-limited stuff and FOMO and whatnot. And it just felt especially bad for that game, since I did actually enjoy it so much. Where I'd go up to play the game I enjoy, and, it was sad because I wasn't necessarily having a good time with the game that I actually like. Because I felt obligated to play it, and I kind of wanted to do other stuff, and eventually I just couldn't deal with the feeling anymore, so I had to drop it. So that is why I won't play Enfield. Because I was attached to Arknights, and I don't want to suck myself back into potentially feeling like, hey, I actually kind of enjoy this game, but my god, the fact that it just wants me to play all the time, I just cannot deal with it. It wants me to play at its cadence instead of mine. And that means I'm going to be playing it when I don't feel like it. And it'll make me feel sad because I'm playing the game I like when I don't want to, and it just feels bad. So, basically, I'm afraid to touch Enfield because I'm worried I'll like it. And if I'm being honest, it also just seems like another iteration of gacha games trying to be Genshin Impact, and I'm kind of sick of that. So, all right, there we go. There's a flower done. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good, and I do think it looks like the flower here. All right, be able to start on the hair soon. That's going to require a bit of analysis, and I'd like to finish my train of thought. So basically, I played Blue Protocol Star Residence instead because it looked bad, but it had the type of brain rot I was in the mood for. So I knew that the odds of me getting attached to it were pretty much nil. And yes, so since I have been seeing it doing the rounds lately, I've been seeing a fair number of people playing it. I was thinking of doing a analysis of it on stream, because there's a lot I can say about the way game companies manipulate you into playing games when you don't want to, and just keeping you attached to that and doing everything in their power to get you to spend as much money as possible with as little effort from them as possible. And it is so full of those tricks. It is all over the place. So there would actually be a fair amount to talk about there. And through sheer coincidence, I picked the marksman class, which is known as the AFK class. So, very low-key and very easy for me to just talk while doing things. I probably don't even have to hit buttons. It's wild, man. I wish I understood why my brain enjoys this type of brain rot so much, because part of me is still a little bit embarrassed by it. Honestly, more than a little. The ultimate form of guilty pleasure. I always wish it was a little bit easier to make online games. And I don't even mean in terms of coding. I totally believe in myself when it comes to the coding end. Maybe not the network security end. That I'm a little bit afraid of. I do not trust myself with people's data. I do not trust myself to make something secure enough to not get hacked and have all their stuff stolen. But, you know, besides that part, just the talking to computers part, and then that I can do. But my god, trying to find hosting for these things is so expensive! I wanted to try to make an online game where I could maybe outsource the security part to Google. And, you know, have you log in with a Google ID or something. But I can't find anywhere to put it. I don't have that much money. So it's all very unfortunate. Anyway. Maybe someday. I can dream. I strictly speaking don't have the networking skills to do a full game yet, but I know the basics, so I think I could learn them. But it just doesn't matter, because it's like, where do I put it? How do I get it hosted? And it's so sad. But okay, I'm kind of getting all this hair smoothed out. Figuring out where it's all going to attach on her. And then once I have the basic shape of this in, I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna look at some Path to Nowhere art, and I'm gonna gush, and I'm gonna talk about how pretty the hair is, and then I'm going to try to figure out what makes it all so pretty, and I'm gonna try to put it on my hair here. Alright, I'm gonna hide this for now so that this way I can figure out where all this needs to go. How does her hair look again? Can I get a picture of you facing the other way? Ah, perfect. Exactly what I need. Okay. I'm actually going to grab my shadow color here, and I'm going to figure out how big the back of her head should be. So we're going to go, like, half bald here. This isn't full baldness, just a little bit. But I do think that the back of her head does come out over here. Let's see if her jaw... Let's go do a little bit of stealing here. How do your jaw lines look? I'm seeing roughly where they line up. I'm also realizing I have to draw her ears. Normally, I kind of skip out on ears because I hate drawing them, but she's got those big old elf ears, and that's kind of important. When a character has knife ears like that, yeah, you gotta draw them. It's important. So I'm just kind of measuring the distance from where I perceive the side of the head. It's easier to do if I know where the ear is. Because my proportion ability, not where I want it to be, let's just say. And I feel like I always get these things wrong. So if we think about... Let's go drop in the ears, actually. I will just make them this color for now. So they're gonna kind of connect to the jaw here. I can follow the shape of the nose. This feels way too low, though. Okay, I need to go take another look. Where are our ears going? Is that an ear? No way, right? No, that's definitely her ear. I see an earring coming off of it. They're that high. That does not seem correct. Okay, so her eyes are tilted this way, so her head is tilted this way. And this ear is kind of lining up with the mouth, it looks like. What about yours? Yours is highly visible. Let's see. We only get one eye, so I can't quite line them up properly. That's actually rough. But it does look like it's tilted about this way. So yeah, kind of with the nose, you know, as it kind of is in real life. Not exactly. Probably just does whatever feels right. Okay. For me. So a lot of it is just kind of with the jawline, which, again, normal for real life. If you kind of feel where the bottom of your ears are, it is kind of at the top of the jaw there. You got, at least on me, I can feel the bottom of the bone, and then there's a bit of a straight line that goes right up, and yeah, that's where the hinge of my jaw is, and there's an ear there, so the hinge of her jaw... Considering I don't think that the jaw is in the right place, I'm probably not going to get this right the first time, so let's just plop him in a place that makes sense to me. I'll draw them very, very loosely for now. And hers kind of angled downward, so... getting them like that. I always felt like how the elf ears are drawn varies a lot from character to character. But if I were, say, drawing Freeren, I would draw them a little bit more like I'd get the straight line at the top and connect it like this, so they're pointed a little bit more upward. But Katya's are very explicitly pointed somewhat downward. You can see here that the flat part is at the bottom. She's got sad, droopy elf ears. Makes sense, given who she is. Okay. So probably something right around there. I need to get my hair shadow color. And I am hopeful. I think this one's too high. But I'm hopeful that with that I'll have a slightly better understanding of where the back of her head's going to be going. Yeah, I really do still feel like her jaw's protruding somewhat. So I gotta fix that. But let's at least try to get the back of her head in here. And I think I'm gonna fix that before I do any more in the hair. I think that's important. So this is going to kind of define the top of her head since her hair is being pulled tight here. And I do want a little strand coming out like this because that's just what her hair does. I am largely keeping her front and side hair the same. I'm just making it maybe slightly more elegant, but not that much. I think her hair is generally pretty elegant. I don't have to try very hard to make it look nice. I feel like this side is sticking out just a little bit too much, so I'm gonna take it back a little. I'm gonna keep it rough until I'm a little bit more confident in her facial structure. And once I'm a little bit more confident there, I'll go ahead, I'll smooth out the rest. And then I'll do the same for the hair on the back with the little bun. I'll plop that gold accessory in there at some point, but I don't think it's important yet, so that'll come later. Okay, I think this looks pretty promising for the back of her head there. This side, I think I'd actually need to come out just a little more. Okay. I think this is a good start. So let's see if I can fix that protruding jaw. And more or less all I mean there is it feels like she's kind of pushing her jaw out this way. And I think it looks weird. So I want her to look more relaxed. She doesn't need to be sticking out her mouth. Cannot do that because I did not rig a pushing my jaw forward. I don't even know if there's a blend shape for that. Alright, here we go. Humu humu. I'm kind of deciding how I want to go about fixing this. Based on where I'm putting the ears, it's telling me that I think where the jaw kind of connects to the back of her head here is somewhere around here. So that's a clue. And then the other side, so probably somewhere around here, just, you know, on the back of her head, the side that we don't see. How do I feel about the ears relative to the eyes? How do I feel about the eyes in general, actually? I don't feel like the nose is quite in the right place either. It looks like it's going a little too far forward. Okay, I'm gonna balance everything around her eyes real quick. So I'm gonna hide that. And I'm gonna make just a couple of small tweaks to those eyelashes. I think they're just a little bit wide. And this will change how I handle her side hair just a little bit. This is why I'm doing it before rendering the hair. I have learned my lesson. We get facial balance before hair rendering. We just kind of start smoothing things out a little bit before I do full hair render. All things considered, I probably should have done that before doing the flower too, but you know what? It's okay. Everything's fine. I do feel like this part of her head does have to stick out just a little bit more, though. I think the location I have the flower actually looks pretty good. And I think it has to angle down this way just a bit more. I'll go ahead and draw on the white part just a little bit. I'll fix it later. It'll be fine. It'll be great. All will be well. Yes, okay. No, I do have it sticking out just a little bit too much there. I don't want the back of her head to be too large. It's okay, you know, having that little bit that came through there made it more obvious to me. I should have done that sooner, instead of worrying about drawing over stuff. Ah, sneeze. Glad I managed to mute in time. Kind of want this to poof out a bit more. I want it to be nice and poofy, nice and round. Okay. So far so good. I think that the eyes look a little bit better. Let's flip things back around. Okay, now we just gotta get them to line up slightly better. Gonna open up this side just a little. Raise this side just a little. Lower this just a little. And I'm gonna take it all very seriously. It's very important. These are anime eyes we're talking about. Can't mess around with anime eyes. But the way I have the hair drawn, I might actually be able to put the eyebrows back into my eye group and let them be under the hair like I generally prefer. But, well, we'll see. I'll leave him up there for now. How does this guy handle it? Yeah, he does see-through hair. Not on this one, though. Adela does not have see-through hair. Hard to tell with that one. She does. She very clearly does. You can see the black on the white there. I don't think she does. So it seems to depend on his mood. Yeah, her eyebrows are not visible. But hers are. Okay, so this might be East Asian tropes talking. I don't know anything about the girl in the upper left. I stopped playing the game before she was released. So, but I do know the general rule of you show the eyebrows to make the hair look more transparent when someone is honest, and you make the hair less transparent, more opaque, when the person has a secret or is dishonest. I'm under the impression that actually is a hard rule. Like, I just remember someone talking about a drawing of Anya from Spy Family, and his suggestion to this person drawing fan art of her was to hide her features in her hair, make her hair more opaque, because she had a secret. So that, as far as I can tell, that actually is a thing. So for Katya, that would almost certainly mean that I hide the eyebrows, if we're gonna go that route. And it has been fairly consistent of the ones that have a secret. Her, I couldn't really tell here. She doesn't really have one. But the eyebrows are hidden there, whereas I'm assuming she's probably more honest. And, it's kind of unclear to me here. But, yeah, I'm guessing that's what's happening, or maybe it literally was. He just thought that the expression didn't look gentle enough without that eyebrow showing. I'm not sure. It could be all manner of things. But thinking about it from that perspective, I'll go ahead and hide the eyebrows. If the expression is still too weak, and I feel like it needs to be a little bit stronger, I'll let the eyebrows show through the hair a little bit. We'll see what I feel like doing. But for now, I'll do it like that. I could always go through and just try to find some other examples. But I kind of don't really feel like it's necessary. This is small, and I think I can just kind of do what I want. I'm not satisfied with how her ears are lining up with the eyes now, so just kind of adjusting that a little bit. I do think that getting the ears there will help me with the jawline. Sometimes I actually wonder if the reason that I have trouble aligning jawlines is because I hate drawing ears and try to cover it up with hair at any chance I get. Since where the ears are kind of defines where the jawline goes. I could actually see that being a thing. Okay. I'm gonna hide her hair for a bit. We're gonna go bald Katya again. And I am gonna try to figure out how this jawline should actually be. So as far as I can tell, I kind of got my straight bit right there, and then it should come out like this. I'm gonna let myself be a little bit rough. I don't really feel the need to smooth it all out just yet. I don't want to be at 133% zoom though, because that always makes things look bad. I wish I understood why. There's just something about the aliasing. It gets me. I hate it. So I'm gonna kind of feel out where I think the back of her head should be too, and see if I got it right with the hair. And we're just gonna get shape of her head just right here. You know what? I'm even gonna hide the flower. Alright, flower friend. You need to go away for just a little bit. Don't worry, you'll be able to come back later. Okay. So I'm still kind of feeling it out. This... Yeah, I still have problems with figuring out the jawline. It's probably the biggest thing that makes my faces feel a little bit unbalanced, that it takes me a little while to kind of figure it out. But I do know that there's always kind of this little flat part by the chin, and that... I actually kind of want to figure this out a little. Give me just a moment here. I just want to look at a few references. In this case, very much stylized ones, as opposed to... well, like photo reference. I like to use photos when I can, but... frankly, here I don't think it's appropriate. Because I'm not necessarily trying to understand exactly what the face does here. I just want to know... Hello, anime artist friends. How do you actually handle jawlines? And I think it's a little bit more like this. I think sometimes I add a little bit too much of an extra angle there. And this I do think is indeed why I feel like her face is protruding a bit. Like if I line up the nose here, it's pretty far forward. Let me see, how do I feel about the nose relative to the eyes before I start using the nose to measure the jaw? Okay. Gotta liquefy that a bit. I think that I need the bridge to be over here a little bit more. I guess the tip too. But I think I found the issue. And I think it's actually going to lead into some problems I have in general. So, no, I need you turning the other way. I think I've said before that I think that the next big milestone in my artistic process is going to be stopping kind of faking what I do and actually getting a really deep understanding of general structures. I think that my general understanding is pretty okay. I've been thinking really hard about what I want to tell people that want to learn quote-unquote anatomy. If you're a beginner, no, you don't really want to learn anatomy, but I think I've found the general outline for what I'd recommend for people that want to learn how to draw. And the first thing is just your basic proportions, like know how far apart eyes should be, where you put them on the head and stuff, and that kind of thing. And this is for if you want to draw people, but I think it'll probably apply to a lot of things too. And then I think the second step is understanding where things connect to other things. And so in this case, you can see that there's a neck, for example. If you know where that neck connects to the head, you'll be able to draw the neck and the head a little bit more accurately. And furthermore, they'll play together more nicely. And you'll want to know, for example, how the neck connects to the shoulders and where the legs connect to the hips and that kind of thing. And there, I think I'm actually a little weaker than I'd like to be. So I think that's actually going to be a lot of what I end up studying. But I actually think that's step 2. First, just proportions. Second, figure out how things connect. And then you can start studying the actual muscle groups and stuff if you want to add that kind of element of realism. And so here I'm thinking about how the nose connects to the face, actually, because it is an entirely different plane. And it just kind of sticks out from the face. I see it as a triangle. Kind of a triangular prism if I were to draw it out real quick. What I see is something like this. And to me, that is a nose. So that's what I'm picturing as I try to structure this this nose to sit on her face a little bit better. There's a little more to it, but that is generally what I see. All right. Bald, mouthless Katya looking a little better here. I feel like everything is sitting on there a little bit better. So now I can start aligning the jaw a bit better. I think I can believe in this. I don't want her face to look quite so squishy. She strikes me as having kind of a more angular face. A hard face. Not a soft, squishy one that just makes you want to pinch her cheeks. No. She's not a cheek pincher type. She's the gap away type. So in order to get that right, you gotta have room for the gap to show. Okay, so this is already looking a little better to me. I feel like this distance might be a bit long, so I'm gonna shorten the jaw just a little bit. I think I actually want to elongate the nose just a little bit more here. There we go. And now I want to get this angle going up toward the ear a little bit more. And I think figuring out how the jaw connects to the rest of the head is actually going to do wonders for my ability to draw them accurately more quickly and actually get things right the first time and not have to flail quite so hard. It's all, even just thinking in terms of that, is actually kind of helping me out here right now. So yeah, I think that's probably what I'll recommend. And actually, I do think that there is a step 3, and that's knowing how the joints bend. I think that kind of thing could actually help posing, and that's something I'm a little bit more familiar with personally. Okay, I think that's looking pretty good now. Yeah, I think that looks a lot better. The jawline might be a little short, but I think I'll turn the face back on, and I'm gonna start aligning that, or the mouth that is, and I'll see how I feel about it. And yeah, even with just this, I do think it feels a little bit short, so I think I just overdid pulling it back in. Let's pull it back out a little. Give her a little bit more meat over here. But I think that's looking all right. I just gotta get the mouth actually sitting on there now instead of whatever's going on here. Or they feel more like separate entities than something actually sitting on her face. And I'm not too worried about the corner of the mouth here looking a little bit weird. This will look fine once I actually blend it in. It's just, you know, not yet time for that yet. It's not yet time. It's alright. The picture will get there. Everything has a time and a place. And it looks like the angle that I had the head at changed a little bit. That's fine. These things happen. It's all good. Okay, I think this is promising. Let's turn the hair back on and... we'll take a look. We'll take a look and we'll bother all the people watching the time-lapse because things are going to be going back and forth a lot and I'm going to make everyone dizzy. I still feel like it's protruding just a little here. I don't know, I think it's doing a bit better. I get the feeling this is going to be something that I mess with quite a bit for the next few days. I also realize that I still haven't designed her mask, so... since I don't quite trust myself with that. But man, I really want to learn how to draw the hair. I want to do it. Screw it. I was gonna say, you know, maybe we should go design the mask, but screw it, I want to draw the hair. Okay, I'm gonna... I've got this mostly smooth. I guess I'll go ahead and finish it off. And we're gonna draw some hair, and I'm going to drown in hair just as advertised. We're not gonna have a false advertising stream. No, we're starting the hair today. Okay. Why is my pen acting weird? Come on, buddy. Yeah, hold on. I gotta look at that because that's gonna bother me. Okay, no, I think everything's fine. I'm not sure what's happening. Alright, so I'm just gonna smooth out the edges here so that this way I can lock the layer and not worry about it quite so much. And then I'm gonna go dig in to how this artist draws hair, and I am so excited. I am so excited that I'm willing to have to risk redoing all of the hair next time. And I'm okay with this. I think she's looking pretty okay, though. Yeah, I think her proportions are pretty alright. I just don't trust myself. This is why I don't like to do proportions and rendering in the same day. And once again, I'm gonna take it easy. I'm gonna kind of trust what I drew for the shape of her head here. And I kind of want this little bang to stick out a little bit more, so that's why I drawn it like this. I'm trying to see if I can find a decent reference of her hair going that way. But she keeps wanting to look down when she turns her head that way. Ooh. No, she's still looking down there too. Well, shoot. Oh, well, I think this is fine. I can do what I want. I do need it to be a little bit rounder, and that's okay. As always, my style compared to a lot of anime, perhaps a little bit angular. It's okay. It's easy enough to round out those edges when I need to. Okay. I just want to make sure I get this back part good. I get the feeling there's going to be some loose strands back there, but I don't want to make assumptions. I want to keep a nice open mind as I look into what this guy does. Because, oh my god, his hair is so beautiful. I really, really like it. I've said many times in the past that I think one of the best ways to study is to go out and find art that you like of somebody doing something that you would like to do, but they did it well. So that this way, you know, you can really dig in and look at it, and you have a point of comparison. It can be really hard to know with something as subjective as art on whether or not you're really succeeding and with what you set out to do. But if you have a point of comparison, it becomes much easier. Because you're just like, okay, I want it to be like this. And you can look, and it's really easy to tell whether or not it looks like this. This thing that you can see. And when you're just learning, I'd actually recommend to try to get as close as possible. Just so you can keep that point of comparison and have something a little bit more objective to compare to. And then as you start getting good, you can break away from it and kind of do your own thing a little bit more. But the point of comparison is just so helpful. Because otherwise you'll be asking yourself, does this look good? I don't know. You know, this is something I really need to do more for graphic design. My typography is so bad. I personally think Comic Sans looks nice. So that's where, you know, my taste is awful. So I can't, it's really hard for me to tell if what I've made actually looks good or if I just have awful taste. So I really need to go out and find some sites with like a beautifully done type and just copy them. Level up my skills there, because I would like to. I actually kind of enjoy a lot of graphic design and web development stuff. It was a hobby of mine for a while. Okay, and I think that is sufficiently smooth. Well, it does look like I have a few holes here, and I want to touch up right there. Okay. Let's fucking go. So her hair stood out to me, so this is the one I want to look at first. But I'm going to look at a couple, because there's a couple that look really, really good. Okay. First, actually, I want to take a look at Katya's hair. I am fine with not drawing it like this, but I want to see the type of hair she has. And I think the type of hair she has is really evident in the side views. Look how curvy that is. So she's got some pretty good curves going on there. And even her bangs are reasonably curvy. And you can see the little black strip going back up here. So I'm going to call her hair not like super curly exactly. Her hair is clearly straight, but like a curvy straight. As opposed to, you know, like this character, which has like super ultra straight hair. Hers is a little bit curly. So, and that makes sense with the way that I drew the hair right here. And to a lesser extent, kind of in the bangs. We got some little curls going on there. So let's come over here. What kind of... I think that the kind of hair that she has is kind of adjacent to here. I think this character's hair is a little bit more curly than Katya's, but not much. So I think that she will actually be a pretty decent point of reference. So, you know what, let's take a look at her. Okay. So, first things first, I see very clear signs of structure in the hair. So we can tell that these bangs here are kind of sitting underneath the hair vents coming out here. And I can see a fairly common structure that happens a lot in East Asian anime drawing, where you have the front hair, so we got these guys here. Then you have the side hair, so that's kind of coming around here, and to an extent we get a little bit rolling down here. I'm actually going to group that with the bangs here. This guy coming over here, since it looks like it's sitting so firmly underneath those hair vents. And this kind of comes out here like this, so this piece here is actually sitting underneath the hair vent here. And then we have the back. And that's kind of the third group. And all of this is, it feels like mostly a singular shape. We get a little bit of stuff overlapping here, to make it feel a little bit more full, I think. So I can see one strand being pulled out right through here, for example. I would not be surprised if this one was added after all of this, because you don't see that in a lot of other places. Let's see, we see another one here, where it goes through here and overlaps this piece. And this piece is also overlapped by this one. And then we have this hair here that kind of comes down. It's actually not quite overlapped here, but with the way this strand is drawn, it kind of looks like this curls up and around right next to it. And then we get another little piece that kind of comes through here and rolls this way. And this guy, I don't quite understand where he attaches, and that's okay. This is all just to make the back hair here look much fuller. And you can see that the detail gets much lower. We get a couple of little gradients back here. And then as you start going to go, and yeah, here too, these are very subtle gradients. And as you get to the spots that are a little bit more forward, a little bit more coming toward the viewer, more wrapping around toward the side of her head here, you can see there's a lot more little strands showing and that kind of thing. And then up here, you get tons of detail. There's spots that are right next to her head. I mean, look at how particular all this lighting is. Very, very particular there. Okay, let's go look at the girl that I thought has the second prettiest hair. I love her hair. This hair is fantastic. So here I can't make quite as distinct a separation between front hair and side hair. So we kind of just have this little bit of hair. I think this is... I actually can't really tell if that would be considered front hair or side hair. This is very clearly front. This little shape right here, and then I guess this is where it flows into the side hair right over here. And I can kind of see it coming out and wrapping around like that. I think that looks pretty nice. Just paying very careful attention to how it flows on the head. And this is another area that I've had a little bit of trouble with. You can see this little bit sticking out by the ear. So this hair is kind of being pulled back. And I always have trouble with that a little bit, because I'm never quite sure how it connects. So seeing it here is pretty useful. Not really relevant to Katya, though. Okay, so the next thing I want to look at, I think I'm gonna stick with those two mostly. I absolutely adore Enfer's hair, but with the way it's drawn here, it looks less like hair and more like running paint. And I think that's very deliberate. That is very much not a critique of it. So I don't think it's gonna quite give me the information that I want on how to make things look like hair. Just because it was very much a stylistic choice for this drawing here, to make it look a little bit more like paint. I love her hair, though. I really do. I guess I can look a little bit at the top here, because this looks like hair. This doesn't look like paint. It's only the back hair that looks like paint. One thing I am noticing is that he likes highlights. I tend to be very sparing on highlights. Maybe I should consider adding a few more, because I must admit, these patterns in the highlights here, I think look really nice. I like all the little shapes here, and then we get another little loop kind of going through here. How does it look on the other girls who we are not seeing from the top? So here we're getting a big light from this direction, so this goes down nearly the entire length of this bang here. And then we get quite a bit over here, but a little bit less. It doesn't go all the way down to about here, which is where it would be if it matched this side. So the highlights on this side are a little bit shorter. And I see the bit going across her head there. So we're getting this kind of shape, and it just happens to be much longer on the side directly facing the light. And then over here, we really only get highlights here and here. Like, over here is lighter, technically, but if I took this color and compared it to... let's just pick a reasonable mid-tone here. I think it's going to be a little bit lighter than the mid-tone on the hair here, but not much. Yeah, look at those two colors. You can see the one I picked from her... Where'd my cursor go? There it is. But you can see the one that I picked from her front bang here, really not that much darker than the highlight I picked from the hair over here. So, technically lighter than everything around it, but not much. So we have less shiny highlights coming through this part of the hair. Whereas over here, it's a little brighter, but not as bright as it is up here. And then over here in this one where, oh man, her hair is just so pretty. We got a backlight picture. A backlit one. And of course, Katya's backlit in the one that I'm drawing, so that's very relevant to my interests. Alright. Let's really take a look here. Now, one thing that I am finding interesting is that even though her hair is super glowy and everything down here at the bottom, and it's showing all the way through here, not the case up by her face. By her face, we get like a little outline of glow, and then everything right here is very dark. And then we get that little bit of glow right through here, whereas everything down here is very bright. And so I find that interesting, and I think the reason it was done like that is because this part of her face, and to a lesser extent the side here, since her skin is very pale, it's very light. And so if we had taken this color and put this color right next to it, they're pretty close. They're pretty close. And even if we had taken this color instead, you know, I'll take the bit by her chin. They're still pretty close. And another point, since this is clearly being used as a way to contrast with her face. Her face is extremely gray. If I pick up my color picker again, let me go pull that open for you guys. Alright, we'll just pull this out for a second. But her skin is extremely gray. Like, if I just run through all the colors here, look how gray that is. Like, there is barely any color in her cheeks here. She is like a zombie territory here. I still think I still think it looks very pretty, but we don't have much color there. But if you look over here in this part of her hair, it's very light because her hair is white, but there's quite a bit of blue in it. At least compared to her skin. Quite a bit of blue. So not only is it contrasting with her skin via being darker, like if we look at the values there, how far up or down on this triangle it is, you know, with the darker values on the bottom and the lighter ones on the top. So this is her skin. And then this is the hair. The hair is still much brighter. On this side, at least. But, they're pretty different. And then over here, we get a color that's actually pretty near white. I think this might actually be white. Not quite. Just a little bit off. And, wow, the value is actually a lot closer than I expected it to be. The color change makes that big a difference, huh? I wish I had more means to make these black and white, but Krita's reference tool doesn't let you do that. So I'd have to open it up and start messing around with it, and I don't really feel like it. But yeah, that's interesting. So there we go. That's kind of what I'm seeing there. And then we get more of this kind of silver lining going all the way around. I think it's really pretty. I love it so much. Okay, so the next thing I want to take a look at is I want to take a look at how hard versus soft some of these edges are. Because I was really surprised. When I looked down at this one, this line is really, really hard. I talked a little bit about hard versus soft edges last time, but for those that don't know what I'm talking about, it's basically how blended something is. So if you have a gradient, that is like perfect blending. Everything it's super smooth. Where one color begins and the other color ends is not clear. It's very foggy. Whereas if you take a hard brush and just plop down two colors next to each other, there's no blending there. So that's a very, very hard edge. And then you get everything in the spectrum in between that. So, but I look at this and I just see this is mostly comprised of very, very hard edges down here. I'm gonna zoom in a little to get a closer look at her hair up here. And you can see there's a little bit of blending through here. So we're getting some softer edges in certain spots, mostly where the light is falling off on the same strand, it looks like. So here it kind of blends, but most of these lines are actually very, very hard. I am still amazed that he can make all of this look so soft with so many hard edges. Yeah, we get a little bit here where it kind of is softer here. But it really does seem like the majority of his edges are hard. I was really surprised to learn that last time. So it almost seems like what I want to do to kind of get some of these effects is maybe keep everything done in hard lines at first and then just blend in certain key areas. So I can probably keep my usual technique and then just apply another layer of a blending on top of it. So just do what I normally do. And then from there, find which edges that I think just kind of blend into each other. Because yeah, most of these edges are quite hard. Yeah, we get some soft ones over here. I actually think that this one's a little bit softer than it looks. And then there's some soft gradation going on over here. Okay. I think I understand. I think I know what to do. So let's start drawing it. I get my toolbar back the way I want it to be. There we go. So yeah, I'll just start with the front hair here and we'll see how I feel. So what I'm going to do, we're just gonna go in what I do normally. I don't want to be this zoomed in while I'm just applying kind of some basic stuff. So I kind of want some darker points down here. I think up there I want it to be light. So just gonna roughly apply some color in a few places here. Till I'm happy. And I'm gonna try to pay a little bit more attention to where the light's coming in. The light's coming from the window. So I think I actually want to keep more of this area a little bit dark. But here I just want to make it clear how the hair is twisting. So I kind of want a little bit of a light spot right there. Okay, and I want a slightly darker color here. So I'm gonna pick a nice color for that. Maybe not that dark. Yeah, that's good. Just so that this way I can kind of see the hair vents a little more clearly. And where this hair vent kind of comes out. And since things are going to get blended at some point, I'm going to be a little bit less particular about certain things. But we'll see how that works out. And I want to make the structures of everything very, very clear, because I do think that is a good thing that this artist does that I am maybe not as good about as I want to be. So I'm going to be very, very clear about where things go, kind of up and down, where the plane changes happen. We're just going to take it nice and slow. Then I think before I even do the highlights, I'm going to have a lighter color there. So it's not going to be pure highlight, it's just going to be lighter. Not how I would normally do my highlights. And then one thing I always found interesting about her hair is that she kind of has a... how to say... It's not clear in her reference sheet, but she has a zigzagged part. So where the light and the dark, the white part and the black part go, there's a zigzag. So I want to make sure I get that in there too. I think first I'm going to make sure that the vent here is looking the way I want it to. Once again, I'm going to stay zoomed out, just not get too particular about these things. I'm just trying to plop down all the colors still. I just want an understanding of how all of this will be shaded. Good news, I still think her face is looking pretty okay, so hopefully my future self won't hate me next week. Well, we'll see how she feels. I actually do kind of like that zigzag part. I think it looks really nice. So I'm happy to draw it. You know what, I think that going through the hair is actually going to be easier than I thought it was going to be. I was honestly really quite nervous about it. Because his hair just looks so complicated and beautiful that I thought that I'd be poking at it for a really long time. But now that I've broken it down a little bit, it's actually not super intimidating. So we'll see how I go with things. I'm feeling pretty good about it. We'll see if I want to fully render out the hair, but I can at least get it all started. Okay, so let's start structuring out the white side here. I got a little bit more I want to do with the back there, but let's see, how do those bangs go? I'm kind of paying attention to how they curl around her head, and it does look like they start pointing to the parts there. So I do think that what I'm doing here is correct. I'm not going to send it all the way up, but we'll get quite a bit in there. I'm not going to worry about too much about the cast shadow from the flower just yet. I will handle that a little bit later, I think. And I've had some ideas on how I wanted to handle the tips of the hair. I've in the past couple of drawings that I've done, I actually haven't really shaded the tips very much. I wanted to try that because I felt like my hair was feeling a bit heavy. But I feel like by not making them a little darker, my hair lost something. So I'm trying to bring those shadows back in. I want to try some new things with them. And one thing that I have noticed, I didn't explicitly say it, but it's kind of especially clear here, is that there's a lot of lighter strands here, and everything is a little bit more strandy, I guess. There's some more explicitly defined things than what I would normally do. But at the same time, there's a lot that are just kind of implied. So if we look through here, there are some color shifts, like there's some little highlights coming through here. But all of this on this side is pretty much one solid color with some darker colors running up here, almost to the middle, and then from the roots here. But through here, this is like one solid clump with just a little bit of extra shading. And then, but we'll see here that this is an area where I thought that the strands were looking really fine. So we got that shadow here, then we got some more here. And these all look very small and very fine. And then we got kind of those lights out there. But over here, this is one really large clump. All of these colors look very, very similar to me. So we got the big shadows kind of separating it out. And then we just kind of got some subtle ones just to make it a little bit more strand-like and make it look a little bit more like hair. But otherwise, there's not a lot of color variation here. And then over here, we get just lots of loose strands in order to really make it stand out in the light and look pretty. But yeah, there's a lot less strands than what it looks like. They're just very strategically placed. And like here, there's not a lot of color variation through here. We get a couple of lines here, but this is pretty much all one big block with just a few shadows here and there. And that can still make it look very delicate and pretty. So, you know, you don't have to try that hard. It's a good thing for me to note, because I think even what I'm doing here might be a little bit too much. But I'll leave it for now. Okay, I need to hide the flower for a second just so I can finish things off structurally. How does that black strand connect to the rest of her hair anyway? Unfortunately, she cuts off the top of her head. Okay. I think I understand. It's just gonna be sitting there kind of like this. I'll go ahead and color in this part for now. Just so that this way I can safely paint on it, understand the structure, and then I will put the flower back. No rendering until the flower is on, of course. Okay, this tells me that I think that there's a little bit of hair sticking out here, and I think that makes sense. I'll just let it fade back into there, into nothing. And I think that's pretty good. This is where the two-toned hair is going to get mildly annoying, but, you know, it's okay. It looks nice. It looks nice, so it's worth doing. But I gotta make sure I don't paint out into the white areas too bad. Okay, so I'll get something kind of like this. Alright. I'm honestly wondering if on the first pass I should just not even be trying this hard. I should just get the basic structure in here and then make it all look strandy after, so I think I'm going to start doing that. Effective immediately. So we'll separate out the hairs. Get that going. So this is all the back of her head, and this is all not the back of her head. Because there's a strand coming out from there. And I'll probably add a few more loose strands to this later. But I don't really want to do loose strands yet. It sounds a bit premature. But this is the general structure of hair here. This is what I have gathered so far. And then let's see, I think I want another slightly darker color for the white side as well. That's a little bit too dark, I think. I think I want it to be less purple as well. No, that's a bit too light. That's pretty good, though. Okay. And this way, I can have a slightly darker color running back here. And it'll make it a little bit more clear where that bang comes out and where the back of her head is. I think I'm going to make this just a little bit more venty. I don't want to add proper hair vents here. She doesn't have a proper hair vent. But I think something like this should look pretty nice. Okay, but I understand how the hair is sitting on the head, and that was the main goal here, I think. So let's go do a little bit more on the back side here. I want a little dark spot there, and I noticed, I didn't say it, but I did notice sometimes he has a very light part, and sometimes it's very dark. I'm wondering, yeah, we don't see the part on her. Actually, I don't see the part on very many of them. Yeah, here, you can see on Enver's it was really dark. Yeah, there's the only two we see the part of the hair in. And I'm wondering if it's because we see part of the scalp on one of them and not the other. I don't know. But I think I like it dark. So I'm going to go ahead and put in some nice little dark spots through there. Let's see, do I like how this is sitting there? I don't really want to liquefy this, so I'm going to I think I actually want this side to come over here just a little bit more. Let it run down the back of her head over here a little bit better. Again, thinking very, very structurally right now. Okay, so I think something like that's pretty good. Let's let this little hair vent come out a little bit more. It's pretty big. So I want to bring it out just a little bit more here. There we go. I think that's a bit better. And up here, I want to make sure that it is appropriately light. Right now, I think it's just a little bit too dark. And in the inside of the hair vent, I want this really dark color. There we go. I think that looks pretty nice. Nice big stretch. I'm kind of hoping that the other half, when I do the suit side, it goes a little bit faster than this side. Because this is me trying to figure things out, and I'm hopeful that I'll have some things figured out by the time I go and do the other side. That's okay. This is what it means to study. This is why I never do it. But no, I do find this to be legitimately enjoyable, and I am learning so much. It's fascinating. Truly. I'm having a great time. I'm not quite sure what all these colors need to be yet. But I think that these general shapes are looking great. Let's see. I think I want to bring this side out just a little more. Add just a little bit more volume into the bit of hair here. And out on this side, this is going to be where her hair is being pulled. It's kind of going downward. So I'll add just a few texture lines to that. This may be premature, but it's alright. Something like that. And then all of that will be pulled into the bun in the back. And let's see, do I still feel like her jaw's protruding a little bit? There's definitely something a little bit off about the mouth. The reason I'm asking myself this now is because I was thinking about doing the back hair with the little bun. But yeah, I do feel like her jaw is still a little bit off. So let's go ahead and revisit that again. But this time I think it's actually a little bit more in the mouth itself than the jawline. Maybe just over here is still a little bit wrong. Let's go ahead and see what I want to do with Katya's teeth here. Okay, let's hide the lips for a second. No, okay, let's not hide the lips for a second. I am just thinking about how this mouth should be wrapping around right now. figuring out which parts gonna need to blend later. So that's why I'm not worried about these parts looking a little bit weird for the time being. They'll get blended. It's all good. But leaving them separate for now makes it a little bit easier for me to understand certain things. And that's pretty important too. Okay. So let's get this lower lip pointed the right direction. I think that'll go a long way. Actually, now that I've kind of adjusted the teeth, I think the teeth are looking a bit better. So now I'm just going to get the lower lip facing the right direction, and then, you know, we'll go back to hair. Just see how much of that hair I want to do today. So there we go. I think I'm feeling it out all right. I think it's kind of coming together. I want to make sure that little kind of bump on the upper lip is in the right spot. Pushing it back and forth a little bit because I can't decide. Can't decide where it should go. It might actually be a little bit easier if I just kind of draw it myself. I have a huge brush or something. I do. Okay. Alright, right now I have it set to be an eraser. So let's just get that in there, right there. Sometimes it really is easier just to go in and draw yourself, as opposed to relying on the liquify tool. I like her expression, though. I'm glad I took a fair amount of time to figure that out. For a while, I was having a bit of a hard time getting it just right. But I think it's worth getting just right. It's really important. Okay. Okay, so yeah, I think something like that's all right. Let's go look at the face itself again. It might take me a couple of tries to mold this into the right way, but that's all right. I very often don't get it right on the first try. But I'm not too bothered by that. Not at all. It's a face, so, you know, I'll just keep going until it's right. And then once it's right, I'll be like, heck yeah, looking good. Okay, how do I feel about this now? Let's see. It's definitely getting there. Oh, do their mouths look. I know he draws them a lot smaller than I do. Let's go find someone smiling. Yeah, so you can see he lets the corners of the mouth do a thing, and then the lips kind of join down here. She's got more of a soft smile. Not meant to look smarmy at all. And hers, yeah, you can see the lips a bit smaller than what comes out there. It actually is pretty clearly defined. I might not blend them in quite as much as I initially expected. Okay. You know, worth considering, but I'll leave it like that for now. And when it comes time to kind of integrate it with the rest of her face and get rid of these Joker-esque lines out there, I'll think about that then. But so far I think that looks okay, and it got rid of a lot of the protrusion that I felt was on her face. So I think that is good. So that maybe it was just a problem with the face, and the jaw is actually okay now. Well, I'll find out momentarily. I want her to be able to look a little bit smug here. I just felt like that line was coming out maybe a little bit too hard. She's supposed to only look a little bit smug, not like super hyper smug. Okay. I do want her eyes to look a little bit more narrowed, but I think that's gonna come once I actually detail them. Once the eyelashes are coming downward, I think I'll be able to make that a little bit more convincing. Okay, let's go back to some hair. So I think that this is all structured very nicely. And what I learned from looking at him is that I'm going, looking at the Path to Nowhere artist, is that I'm going to want to have some places that are a little bit darker. I'm going to want to have clear separation of those. I think that this black strand is going to help a lot there. And I've got some dark areas through here. I might want one on the bangs here. I'm not actually entirely sure. I think this might actually end up being one big clump. And there'll be a lot less variation. I'm gonna go look at his hair again, and this will be another clump with a lot less variation, and another clump back here, and then this part, and this part. And that just might be how it is. We'll see. Let's kinda start getting the back hair here a little bit more smoothed. So what I am picturing for her hair back here is basically we got the little bun, and then there's a little bit of hair sticking out of it. And I actually think I will hide the ears for a moment, and I think I want this little bit of hair sticking out of it actually come a little further this way. I want the center of the bun to look like it is behind her hair. So that'll kind of stick out over there, I think. I think that makes more sense for what I want. Now, the bad news is that her model got updated, and this little thing here looks a little bit different than pretty much any picture I can find on it. I am happy that she got that fixed in a way that makes her happier, but man, it's gonna be a while before I can find an updated reference, I think. Let me go see if I can find one, because I know she drew herself at one point. Yeah, there it is. Let me see. But her hair is covered by her head there. How deeply unfortunate. Okay. Oh. Oh. Birthday song cover has it. Hell yeah. Okay. So now I can kind of understand the structure of that a bit better. All right. So I think once again, I'm just going to have to figure out how to draw a rose. I'm going to reference this heavily. And I think for now, I'm going to do it in just one color. And then I'll add the... I guess for here, I'll do it in black and I'll add the white part after. So since it's behind her, I'm going to use this. I'm going to use a dark color. Okay. And I'm not going to worry about tearing this part up. That's fine. It can be torn to absolute shreds. It's all good. Okay, so this is going to be kind of my basic shadow color, and then I want one for just the absolute darkest, the darkest of the lines, the equivalent of these guys in the center of the rose. And I want to grab that real quick, so I need a darker color here. No, it's gotta be way darker than that. Come on. Don't be afraid of the shadows. I think it's still gotta be darker than that. That's good. Okay. Okay, so I got all the colors I want. I think I still want the flower on because I think it looks nice. And I just drew it today and I like it, so let's keep it on. And I kind of want to reference what I did there. I'm referencing what I did there, and I'm referencing Katya's drawing of herself. I'm under the impression she drew this one. And I'm just trying to get a basic idea of where each of these petals should go, how they all wrap around. I see that they are much more round than the ones on her model. I'm not sure if that's a stylistic choice since she did not draw her own model, if I recall correctly. And this might just be how she personally draws roses, and it's slightly different from how her model mama draws roses. And such things are normal. It's all good. Everyone draws things a little bit differently. Okay, but I think I can just continue with those kinds of shapes. I'm still kind of looking back and forth, but I think I'm starting to kind of get the hang of it. And then you just let them get a little bit bigger. They don't necessarily have to be completely pointy. Do I not have the right color there? Oh no, I know what I did. Never mind. It's all good. Okay, but I think this is looking pretty good. I think I can be happy with this. And I'll just plop in some more dark lines when appropriate. We'll just finish off this little flower. It'll be great. The hair is definitely not going to be done today, but I kind of expected that. It is anime hair after all, and I am trying something new, which will always slow me down. Just the nature of science. It tends to be a bit slow. Okay, now I have to decide where this part of the hair connects. I think I actually want the center of the flower to come a little bit more behind her head. I think I have that a little bit off. So we're gonna roll it back just a little. Fortunately, I think the structure still holds up, so I think that still looks pretty good. And now I can get this part going to where I think it needs to go. Which I think is right about here. And the reason I wasn't worried about tearing it up is because I knew I'd probably have to change the structure a little bit in order to make it play nice with the hair in front. It must play nice. Very important. Gotta get along with people. And so we're just gonna get something like this. I don't think it needs to be very complicated. Alright, and then I think the next step before I do anything further is I want to get the white parts in now. Let's see, how is that gonna work? I'll just plop them in. I'm gonna pay attention to where they're sitting on her art here. But besides that, I think I can just kind of make stuff up and it'll be okay. Always nice when that's the case. Alright. So we'll just get those white parts in there. Just trying to pay a little bit of attention to where they sit. Mine is definitely not one-to-one. But I think I got the general gist of the kind of pattern that they make. And I think that matters more in this specific instance. Okay, so I think that should be good. And then on the strands for the hair coming down here, that I actually would like some of the layers that are going to be sitting on top here to be on. So that once again, I can make sure that it plays nice with the rest of her hair. And that we don't get any awkward overlap. But there we go. I think that might be what I go with. And no, there's too much invisible there, so we'll add another white petal here. Okay, there we go. So I think that's going to be the basic structure of that. It's not very smooth yet. But let's see, do I want to smooth it right now? Yeah, sure, let's do it. Normally, I'd want to get the ears first. Do I feel like trying to get the ears when I'm not entirely sure about her face yet? No, no. I think I'll smooth that out some other time. What I think I want to do is I want to take another look at Eve's hair. And I want to see how these things were separated. So what I'm seeing here, we got this big strand here, and it looks like it's kind of divided into two. So I see this as one big clump, and then I see a dark line kind of dividing it into two here, turning it into two slightly smaller clumps. But there's not a lot of further division. Those are really the only dark spots. So when I look at mine, I think that this color will actually make a better color for where the big divisions are. So let's do the next step of structure. Hello, hello, Sir Sprout. Oh, thank you. But yeah, I'm just kind of gonna do the... I'm kind of structuring out her hair here. I did a lot of facial proportion fixing today, so I'm just kind of analyzing some hair and seeing where it all goes. I've decided that over here is a bit too dark. So I kind of just... Oh no, this one should be dark. That one's fine. Actually, I think you should be dark too. So I'm just doing a little bit of science with the hair here. So maybe you shouldn't be dark then. And seeing what happens. Seeing kind of how I want to be drawn things like this here. Stealing more secrets. As you do. Okay, and I think that's also going to be true of the black side, but let's go ahead and finish some of these white parts. So let's see, I think that over here should be fairly dark, but maybe through here, not quite so much. But I think it makes sense for these places where the strands overlap a bit more, for it to be just a bit darker. And then those spots where it's kind of rolling, kind of curling behind. I think I will also make just a little bit darker than the surrounding area. So I'll let this spot be just a little bit lighter. I'm not used to using this many colors and things. So it still feels a little bit foreign. Back here, I think is also going to be just a little bit lighter. And I haven't done any cast shadows or anything from the rose yet. That'll come later. I don't think it's really important right now. No, you should be the lighter one. Yes. Okay, and then I think what I've got going on back here looks pretty okay. So that should be good. Then I'll think about how I want to handle some other things. But what I do think I need is a little bit of stuff coming out of the part as well. I'm trying to think about how that sits on the head a little bit too. And I think I still want this to be a little bit darker. Just all around it. Get some of that nice separation going. Make it very clear what exists where. And how this is all put together. Okay. And then from there, I think I want most of this to be a bit darker. I'm going to leave a few lighter spots. The lighting is coming from the window behind her. It's currently hiding because it was getting in my way, but the light source is going to be the blank spot over here. Okay, once again, I want to pay attention to how all of the hair will come out of her head here. Make sure that it wraps around very nicely. Okay. And now, I think I can pick the slightly lighter color for certain parts of this hair here. So let's see, I'm just gonna kinda pick like this. I think that works. I think this should be a perfectly fine color. I don't... I think it's a little bit too... I think it's a little bit too light. So I won't hit it quite as hard. Maybe right about there. Let's try that again. I want a little bit of contrast. I don't want to completely eliminate all my nice little bits of contrast. That would just be sad. Okay, and I'll have a darker one kind of running through here. But otherwise, I kind of want a lot of these to be the lighter one. This one I think makes sense for it to be dark. It's kind of defining the side of it here. But this one I'm going to keep light. And then I'm just kind of paying attention to where I think the light from the window will be hitting the hair. I'm not always very consistent when I handle light sources like this, but I can tell that the artist that I'm referencing is, so I'm going to try to be a little bit more particular about it and not just rely on the lighting I put in at the end. We're going to start right from the beginning this time. Little unusual for me, but that's okay. We're trying things. It'll be great. Okay. So, gonna do the same thing down here. Or we just have some of these spots through here be a little bit lighter. I think that's fine to be dark though, and I'm not gonna... Well, I'll do a little bit with the back hair, I guess. I was gonna say, I'm not gonna do too much with the bun back there or anything, and I'm not. But we can do a little bit. I can start plopping in some of the basic shadows and stuff. Make it look a little bit more rose-like back there. I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna turn this into hair, but I'll figure it out later. It's fine. I think all it's gonna come down to is adding, like hair strand shapes like this, and then it'll suddenly look like hair because hair is a magic. And that's just what happens. It's kind of funny. Definitely not going to render anything back there yet. That will come after I finish her ears. But I'll do a little bit of basic stuff. And here, I think I actually want things to be a little bit lower contrast, so I'll probably end up putting little bits of lighting filter back there. And it also needs to be nice and glowy. I'm realizing I definitely want to make sure to get something like this and some of that hair back there, because that is just so pretty. So this part might actually end up being very, very light. I haven't decided yet. I probably should at some point. That does seem like an important decision to make, huh? Well, let's worry about the front hair in the meantime. So what I do know about the front hair already is that I do want to have a little bit of a lighter color near where the window's gonna be. Ooh, that's probably gonna be way too light though. Maybe I should do it like this. Yeah. That's a bit better. I just want it to be a little bit lighter than that, I think. Yeah, right about there. I think that'll look pretty nice. So since the light is theoretically coming right from the side here, I'm just gonna kind of plop this in a few key places. This is not like the big bright highlights. This is just a little bit of lighter areas, kind of just passing through. But if I think if I do it nicely, it'll look good. I'm just gonna put a little bit of light on some of these spots. This guy is not gonna get very much, but I think he should have a little. There should definitely be a lot back here. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and grab the same thing on the white area, but I think the white area might honestly just end up being kind of a pure white. I personally find that extremely likely. Oh no, there's definitely a little bit of yellow in that. That's a great color. That is a pretty good color. And it'll let me add a nice little bit of texture on the back of her head here. Make it a little bit more interesting than what I've currently got. That should look pretty good once I actually make it look nice. Okay, I think I know where I'm going with the hair now. Yeah, I've got some ideas here. I don't think there's going to be any bright lights out on the bangs here. I think it's too far away. So let's go ahead and plop some of this down on the back here. So once again, I'm kind of revisiting what I looked at here, where I see that most of this is just very, very strongly lit. You know, you see there's lots of little areas here that look like they're white, but the area by the face still has quite a lot of shadows around it. So anything that I want to contrast with the face a little bit more, I don't have to light quite as strongly, but I don't think such a spot exists on the hair back here, actually. So I think I can just make it as bright as I want. Yes, I think I can. Some of this I might make even brighter than this, actually. We'll see. But I'll get the basic idea here. Now, the hair around the rose bun here, I'm actually going to keep a lot darker because I think that there's lots of bits of overlapping hair. And so I don't think that it's going to be quite as strongly lit. So it's not going to look quite as transparent. But I'll keep a few areas really strongly lit like this. So maybe something like this. I'm gonna go turn the window back on, and we'll take a look at how it looks with the window. And I think I'm still subdividing things a little bit too much. Just looking at her hair here, I'll go look at the blonde one for a moment as well. Okay. And I'm just seeing what her hair does, and I see some of these loose strands are still pretty dark over on this side, even though this whole side is very strongly lit. So it's looking like the light is coming above her and on this side. Whereas on the other one I was looking at, the one with white hair, she's firmly backlit. The light is coming from behind her. Okay. I think the next thing I want to do before I start messing around with some of the more subtle lighting is I want to get the big bright highlights on there. I'm actually curious on how Katya's hair highlights are drawn. Yeah, they're 2 different colors. Nice. That's how I plan to do it too. Okay, for the white, I think I can pick this color and just make it very slightly lighter. Oh no, I literally can't. It is literally white. Okay, well, we just use the same color then. That's fine. I'll do all the highlights in just pure white for now. So what I think I want to do is I want to add some tiny ones kind of at the part of her hair where light is gonna come out there. And then from there, because I thought that looked really nice on Enfer. I think this is too bright for them. I will be using a slightly different color. But it's a reasonable start. And then one thing I do notice with the way that this guy does highlights is it looks like the top part of them is a little bit more blended than the bottom part. Although that's not really the case here. And they get a little bit blended there. What does it look like over on you? Hard to say. Yeah, and in here the bottom is a little bit less blended, the top a little bit more. So it's not quite consistent. But I do see that he does generally blend them a little bit. And I think I can just draw squiggles for now. So I will definitely be trying things. It's always a little scary. But you know, it's okay. Science is very important. I'll just do it like this for now. I think there's going to be a bigger one over here. And it'll come around to this side. And I think that the highlight will go up. Up like this. I don't know, does that look right? Or does it look better if they go down? Let me stay zoomed out. I know, this way is definitely correct. Maybe not that exact line. Okay, let's try. I can just block them in like this, I think. And then do I want any down here? Yeah, I think having a few down there looks pretty good. This I think I'll handle separately. Okay. Let's go ahead and zoom in a bit, make these look a little bit better than they currently do. But I think I like that general direction. Just kind of blob them in just a bit here. Definitely a little bit smaller than I normally make them, and I think his are a bit bigger than this, so let's make him a bit bigger. Alright. So I think that's going to be the general structure of the hair, and I think that's actually looking pretty good so far. So I think next time I'll hopefully figure out the last things bothering me about her face. I've got a few minutes here. So let's go ahead and I'll just take a look at her face real quick. I feel like her eyes are still not lining up quite right. I just really wanted to do some hair, so I did. Normally, I'd, well, I guess I can't really say normally since I'm trying a slightly new method here, but, I've been trying to make a point of getting the face a little bit more correct before I start fully rendering the hair. But, I just really wanted to do some hair today. Weird feeling. Normally I'm here running away from hair, but, I was really eager to see how this guy drew hair, and kind of check it out. So, you know, it was a good time. I liked it. Let's see, I don't know, if I rotate this just a little, try to get the chin straight, how do I... Yeah, I can kind of see where things are a bit off now. The idea would be to rotate this in such a way that I remove the angle tilt. So yeah, right about there. And now I can just kinda... So now this should be just a basic 3/4 view of her head with it slightly rotated like this. So hopefully that'll let me place the eyes and stuff. And then maybe next time we'll be ready to do a little bit more hair study and fully render it out. That would be pretty nice. I really am legitimately looking forward to hair stuff. Again, a very weird feeling for me because anime hair just... It's always very overwhelming, but I really like the way this artist draws hair. It makes me very happy. So I just want to steal what he does and apply it to some of my own work. I think that'll be nice. Okay, let's get this back. Did that help the face? Yeah, I guess that looks a little better. So we'll see how I feel about this next time. That'll be, again, next Saturday. I think I'm only going to do 3 streams next week while I recover a little bit from being sick. I'm looking at it. I think I actually need to make her bangs here just a touch longer. That's okay. That's exactly why I said that I shouldn't fully render hair until I knew where the face is. Oh, thank you. I like it quite a lot too. I really like where it's going. We'll see just how close I can get to this. Because, oh man, I love the way he draws hair. It's just so pretty. But here, I think I at least have things structured. I understand how the hair is flowing. So, next time should be very exciting. Gonna do some hair. Yeah, I'm looking at the outfit I designed, and there's lots of different material textures that I'll be able to experiment with. And, well, we'll see just how much I can glean from the way this guy works. It's like, my god, I love his art. It's so pretty. It is. Alright, let's go turn my lighting layers back on. I'll probably still keep those to an extent, just because it does make things less complicated overall, I think. I'll see how I feel about it. I mean, if it ends up not being necessary, then that'll be kind of interesting. But there we go. I think this is where I will leave it for today. I like where things are going. It's making me think about things a little bit differently. And I think just forcing yourself to look at things a little bit differently can stop you from getting too complacent. And not only make you aware of what other people are doing, but make you aware of things that you do yourself without realizing it. Yeah, alright, I have thoughts. But yeah, I suppose I should stop here for today. So thank you all for coming, and I hope you're able to make something wonderful today. Go learn something new, it'll be fantastic. I'll see you all tomorrow.